text to someone whose specialization is different, it might not make a lot of sense to him because of the terminology used there. So coherence is something relative. It has to do with the receiver. It is the receiver who brings coherence to the text. So it's something psychological, something that is mental, which is imposition of the receiver rather than the text itself. So coherence is an attribute of the receiver, whereas cohesion is an attribute of the text. Now, if we look at cohesion, we can see that cohesion manifests itself in different types. There are two types of cohesion. We have semantic cohesion and we have grammatical cohesion. Sometimes cohesion is a matter of semantics, sometimes it's a matter of grammar. The most familiar type of cohesion is reference. The fact that we use referential elements to stand for lexical entities. So this is something which is found in probably all discourses, all right? If we exclude many discourses where, okay, one would do without X referring back to Y. Reference or referential elements generally fall into two categories. We have endophoric reference and we have exophoric reference. Endophoric reference is found within the text. If you look at a text, within that text you find examples of endophoric reference, where you have a lexical entity, for example, appearing at one point and later on you have a pronoun referring back to it. And this is called anaphoric reference. And sometimes the other way around. Sometimes you find the pronoun appearing first and later on you have the lexical entity. And this is called cataphoric reference. For example, John went shopping this morning. He bought a pair of shoes. Okay, so he refers back to John. So this is an example of anaphoric reference. Whereas in a text like the following, in his visit to Paris, John went to the Eiffel Tower. His here, as you can see, appears first, then later on we have John. So the relationship between his and John is cataphoric rather than anaphoric. In both cases, we have endophoric reference within the text, which is very familiar in discourse. But we also have exophoric reference, where we have a referential element in a discourse referring to something in the context, an entity in the context, an entity that's recoverable from the context. For example, a teacher addressing his students. I wanted to prepare this chapter for next week. I and you here refer exophorically. I refers to the teacher and you refers to the students in that classroom. So here, I and you are used exophorically rather than endophorically. So the difference between exophoric reference and endophoric reference has to do with whether the referent is within the discourse or not. If the referent is within the discourse, then it is endophoric. If the referent is outside the discourse, in the external world, and is recoverable within that situation, then it's exophoric reference. The second type of cohesion is conjunction. The fact that we have logical words, logical connectors that tell us what's going on in terms of logic. X for X causing Y. X is added to Y. X contrasts with Y. X comes after Y. Okay.